Amazon just dropped a bombshell. Now, we knew this was coming for a while, but today makes it official. And ChatGPT and Bard AI should be very concerned. Now, Amazon was founded in 1994 by Jeff Bezos in his garage in Bellevue, Washington. And it started as a bookseller. And most of you know the story that Amazon Web Services has been that cash cow, that engine that's been driving the growth of Amazon. AWS is the king of cloud, and they hold the most market share for public cloud services. So they already have a huge advantage when you think of generative AI. In this video, I'm going to explain that. I'm going to break it down because Amazon's doing everything from making their own chips to allow developers to simply tell a tool what it wants to create and having code generated for them. I promise you'll learn a lot about Amazon in this video, and you'll have a different perspective about the company when you're done watching. So here it is. Amazon jumps into the generative AI race with new cloud service and its own large language models. Now, I've been an investor in Amazon for many years, and I definitely saw this coming. It's been one of my top AI picks if you watch previous videos. So there's three key areas that I want to break down for you today. The first is Bedrock, and this is a cloud service that developers can use to enhance their software with AI, artificial intelligence systems that generate text, similar to the engine behind, of course, ChatGPT, and more recently, Bard AI from Google. Now, of course, ChatGPT is not owned by Microsoft, but Microsoft does own a part of the business, and ChatGPT uses Microsoft Azure, which is their public cloud services that competes with Amazon Web Services. So you've got the big three players in public cloud services, Amazon Web Services being number one, Microsoft Azure number two, and Google Cloud Platform being third. And now all three of these large public cloud service providers are going to have their own AI tools. The announcement indicates that the largest provider of cloud infrastructure won't be leaving a trendy growth area to challengers such as Google and Microsoft. Through its Bedrock generative AI service, AWS will offer access to its own first-party language models called Titan, as well as language models from startups such as AI21 and Google-backed Anthropic. So what's interesting here is it's actually partnering with this company that Google owns part of.
When you saw what, though, ChatGPT did and the relationship it has with Microsoft, and you see what Bard's doing, where should Amazon be in that conversation?
We have been using machine learning in a very deep way in every one of our businesses. We have our own large language models that we've been working on for multiple years that fuel a lot of our experiences. And I think you should expect, in general, I think you should expect that generative AI has the chance to transform every customer experience that you know. We are using it and investing in it very deeply across all of our businesses in Amazon. And then for AWS, we're going to make sure that every other company can use it as well.
So all three of these players have their hands in different pots across AI and generative AI, and all three of these companies, I think, will be successful in the area. But let's break down Amazon today and see which one might be the best of the three when you think about long term. A little bit more background here before we go on. People using ChatGPT and Microsoft's Bing chatbot based on OpenAI language models have at times encountered inaccurate information owing to a behavior called hallucination, where the output can appear convincing but actually have nothing to do with the training data. And Amazon is really concerned about accuracy and ensuring its Titan models produce high quality responses. In order to tell you the story about Amazon, we really need to look at the history here. The seeds of machine learning, so AI and ML, which is machine learning, have been a focus for Amazon for over 20 years. And many of the capabilities that customers use with Amazon are driven by ML, machine learning. Our e-commerce recommendations engine, for example, is driven by ML. The paths that optimized robotic picking routes and fulfillment centers, supply chain, forecasting, capacity planning, Prime Air, which is their drones, Amazon Go, our physical retail experience that lets consumers select items off a shelf and leave the store without formally checking out. And Alexa, powered by more than 30 different machine learning systems, helps customers billions of times every week to manage smart homes, shop, get information, entertainment, and more. We have thousands of engineers at Amazon committed to machine learning and AI, and it's a big part of our heritage and future. So specifically now AWS, Amazon Web Services, including more than 100,000 customers of all sizes and industries. Now this is going to give Amazon an automatic ability to upsell to all these customers, and this is a huge opportunity. It talks here about Amazon SageMaker, which is the easiest way for all developers to build, train, and deploy models. So when you look at generative AI for Amazon, you can see on your screen. So you've got Bedrock. In the middle, you've got chips. So Amazon's actually building its own chips, its own semiconductors. They're behaving like a fabless semiconductor company, just like Apple does with their M1 chips, or like an NVIDIA or AMD does. And they're sending it off to companies like Taiwan Semiconductor to manufacture those chips. And they have something called Amazon Code Whisperer, and this is really cool. Essentially, you tell it what you want to do, and it does it for you and writes the code for you. So generative AI is the type of AI that can create new content and ideas, including conversations, stories, images, videos, and music. Like all AI, generative AI is powered by ML models. These are very large models that are pre-trained on a vast amount of data, and they're commonly known as foundation models, or FMs. To give a sense for the change in scale in recent years, the largest pre-trained model in 2019 was 330 million parameters. Now the largest models are using more than 500 billion parameters, a 1,600x increase in just a few years.
You folks have made an announcement this morning, actually, about some new efforts on the AI front at AWS in terms of both the software side and the chip side of this business. But where do you see this is all going? And when you think about, for example, ChatGPT or what Google is doing, sort of how do you compare yourself to that, since that seems to be what we talk a lot about these days?
Yeah. Well, just some context. I mean, machine learning, we've been using machine learning in a really meaningful way across Amazon for over 20 years, and it's in everything we do. You know, the personalized e-commerce recommendations, the way we do pick, pass, and fulfillment centers, and Alexa. I mean, virtually everything we do. And then in AWS, we have over 25 machine learning services. We have the broadest set of functionality and set of customers in machine learning. So it's a big part of our heritage. But the last 6 to 9 months, you've seen this really exciting development in large language models and generative AI, which fuel things like ChatGPT. And so the announcement you're talking about today is in our AWS business, where if you think about what AWS has been doing for many years, we've been really trying to democratize technology so that large and small companies alike can afford and have access to build amazing customer experiences. And so if you think about running these large language models, there's 3 pieces to it. The first is they all need compute. You're going to train models, and then the models spit out inferences or predictions. And so that compute, the key pieces are the chips inside of it. And so we've been working on specialized chips for training called Trainium, and for inference called Inferentia, that have the combination of price and performance in a really advantageous way relative to what you can do otherwise. Then most companies want to use these large language models, but the really good ones take billions of dollars to train and many years, and most companies don't want to go through that. And so what they want to do is they want to work off of a foundational model that's big and great already, and then have the ability to customize it for their own purposes. And that's what Bedrock is, which we announced today, which is it'll give you access to large language models from Anthropic, from Stability AI, from AI 21, and from ourselves. We're externalizing some of our own models we call Titan. And then it lets
These are not consumer models. These are models to build software.
Yeah, they're big, large language models that you can build these generative AI experiences on top of, and you just have to fine-tune them for what's specific about your application. So that's Bedrock, which I think will change the game for people.
So here's Amazon Bedrock, the easiest way to build and scale generative AI applications with foundation models, or FMs. So here's how it works. Amazon Bedrock provides you the flexibility to choose from a wide range of FMs built by leading AI startups. So they're going to be partnering with a couple of these startups, plus Amazon itself. And you can find a model that's best suited for what you're trying to get done. So in a nutshell, what it's doing is it's allowing a service where you can go to Amazon. Amazon's already built the chips to make the AI faster, smarter, more efficient. They have the infrastructure with Amazon Web Services, and they've got these AI models that you can essentially subscribe to, and then you can customize them to meet your needs. So here's some of those foundational models from leading AI startups. You can see Amazon Titan, and then you've got the Stable Diffusion, the Claude, and the Jurassic 2. So Amazon Web Services with Bedrock will also be partnering with a couple of these companies like AI 21 Labs, Anthropic that we mentioned, and Stability AI. Applying machine learning to the real world, solving real business problems at scale. We think every application out there can be reimagined with generative AI. Now I want to talk specifically about the chips. We talk about the semiconductors they're actually producing. This has been going on for a couple years ago. Back in 2021, at its reInvent conference, Amazon announced Graviton 3, the next generation of its ARM-based chip for AI. So what it's using is IP cores from ARM, all right? They're going to take those, they're going to customize those IP cores, make their own chips, their own designs, and they're going to send them off to a foundry like a Taiwan Semiconductor to actually manufacture and produce those chips. And AWS has a part of its website dedicated just to this. So improving performance, lower costs, enhanced security with AWS Silicon. They're essentially building chips that are trying to compete with Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, and so on. Now, the difference here is they're not going out and they're not selling these, just like Apple. So Apple's creating M1 chips that might go into an iMac or something like that, or to one of their computers, but Apple's not selling semiconductors to other companies to use in their products. And the same with Amazon Web Services. For now, they're using it in their own servers for their own services. So you look at like AWS Graviton, 40% better price performance. And this is a rabbit hole. We could spend a lot of time. You can see 3 of their chips here on your screen. And they're really built to give you better performance, better efficiency, lower cost, and just really designed for machine learning and for AI. In fact, here on Amazon's website, take a look inside the lab where AWS makes custom chips. I bet you a lot of you didn't know this. This team of AWS employees are pushing the limits of what it means to design and build computer hardware to help customers work faster, more securely, and more sustainably at a lower cost. So Annapurna Labs, they bought this in 2015. They acquired them, outskirts of Austin, Texas. So you probably know that Amazon Web Services offers cloud computing services, but you probably didn't know that it builds its own hardware. In fact, AWS has its own family of custom chips and accelerators, with each new generation building on and improving on what came before it. And they have locations in Tel Aviv, Toronto, and Austin, Texas. So it says company develops all silicon in-house to deliver products more quickly. Products include accelerators, hardware that advances the overall performance of a computer. The team tests all this equipment in many data centers before rolling it out. AWS Graviton processors are designed to deliver the best price performance for workloads that are running in Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. The team is continuously innovating across the design and manufacturing. The software integration team tests all software components necessary to make a server available to AWS customers in the cloud. And there's a lot more interplay between hardware and software than most people realize. So they're really trying to be vertically integrated within cloud services. You think a company like Tesla, how they're vertically integrated, they're trying to be vertically integrated and make everything work together, more efficient and more effective by working together. And I do think that this gives a competitive advantage to Amazon when you think about Google and you think about Microsoft. Now, I own all 3 of the stocks and I'm bullish on all 3 long term, but I think Amazon, when it was kind of thrown into the woodshed and no one wanted to touch it, I think a lot of people just don't understand a lot of the things that Amazon's doing behind the scenes. And if you really dig, guys, there's lots of data out there on the web. You know, the past decade, this is back from July 2022, and it's talking about AWS server chip becomes a not so secret weapon against Microsoft and Google. Well, it says not so secret, but a lot of you probably didn't know about it. 6 AWS customers told the information that cloud servers using Graviton processors consume less power, can deliver higher speeds than servers made by incumbents Intel and AMD. Said customers save 10 to 40% on computing costs by renting these servers. So they're essentially renting the servers from Amazon and they're saving money on electricity costs this way. Twitter, Snap, Adobe, SAP are among customers of Graviton servers, which became a multi-billion-dollar revenue business only 3 years after it launched. Now, I could spend some time reading through this to explain Code Whisperer, but I'm going to let Andy Jassy, CEO of Amazon, do it for me. Check out this clip.
You know, there are going to be these applications built on top of these large language models. ChatGPT is an example of that. What we announced today is something called Code Whisperer, which is for developers. And so if you're writing code, instead of having to write everything and do all the art and the science yourself, you can, in a natural language way, just say what you want to do, and Code Whisperer will generate the code for you. And that will substantially change developers' productivity.
So next, I'm going to give some final thoughts on Amazon. I'm also going to provide a chart and tell you where I think the stock could go. And I'm going to tell you if I think the stock is a buy or not at these levels. Before I do that, I need to announce this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. If you'd like to see the 10 best stocks to buy now, visit fool.com/firedupwealth. A reminder, Motley Fool doesn't tell me what to make, what to create. They're a great partner and they allow me to create content like this for free for you on YouTube, so check those guys out. You can also join our private community in Discord by visiting patreon.com/firedupwealth. So some quick final thoughts here. I think that Amazon is a great long-term investment, primarily because of AWS. Now, with that said, Amazon has another cash cow, which is advertising, and the revenue has actually exceeded that of YouTube's revenue. But when I think of just generative AI, I think that all three companies, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, can benefit from these trends, especially when you think about businesses using applications and really changing and customizing their business. Now, I do think that Amazon Web Services is going to have a competitive advantage. Number one, they have the most customers to upsell to. On the flip side of that, when you think of Microsoft and Google, they of course have very powerful search engines. So I think all three of these, when you're focused just on the public cloud services, can benefit, and each company can benefit really in different ways. But I wouldn't be surprised if 3 years from now, when you think of just the cloud services segment, if you don't look back and say, yeah, Amazon Web Services is the leader, and it makes sense why. Now, with that said, Azure has been doing some great things, and I'm very bullish on Microsoft. If I were to pick one stock to buy and to own, it might actually be Microsoft, especially because it has a dividend. Now, I've owned Microsoft since $35 in 2012. I've owned all three of these companies for a while. But specifically with Amazon, when I think of $100 a share, and I'm thinking 3 to 5 years from now, I think the company is worth a lot more. If this company were to be broken up by, say, the Department of Justice, I honestly think that AWS would be worth $80 a share by itself, if not more. So I am bullish on this, but let's look at a chart and see where it could go next. So you can see it finally broke $100 again. It's back to 101. Now these are old chart days. We said 93.50 support, watch for 96 and 100. This is old, so I need to make this orange. Anytime you see orange, that's a previous chart day. Yellow is today's chart day, and I haven't written anything new today. Back previously, we said $96 support, watch for 104 upside. And I think you probably see it come up. This is Fibonacci R1. This is around $104. That's probably your next stop. And I don't think the stock's just going to rip to $130 overnight. There's plenty of risks out there. Earnings season's coming up. But if you ask me, is this a buy at $100 a share? I obviously prefer under $100 a share, but I even think at $101, if I'm thinking as a long-term investment, I think it's an opportunity at these levels and lower. If this video is helpful, make sure you please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get this channel to 40,000 subscribers in 2023, and you can help me out by subscribing today and click that bell for notifications. Make sure to drop a like and a comment if this was useful. I appreciate your time and attention. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.